Hey there, welcome to Games Over Coffee Consulting. My name is Devon. People give me their games, I give feedback on their game design. And today we're talking about Blimp by Cactus Studio. So usually how we do these videos is I have a little gameplay that's playing right here, showing the gameplay while I'm talking about the game. But today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be on my computer in front of me, and I'm going to show that footage right here. I want to go through my gameplay here, talk about some of the very specific game design things that I see in here. Okay, so this is Blimp, and this is the way that it starts out. We have the 4 players. So the way that this works is that we're running it on a phone. In this case, we're running it on Android, on this phone, Pixel 6 Pro. That's how I played the game. I played it with me and 3 other people. So the game is only multiplayer, and this is how it starts out first. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the weapon selection screen. And it's pretty self-explanatory the way that it looks, right? We just drag weapons from one side to the other. These numbers right here don't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, I know what they are now, but at the time that I was choosing these, I didn't really understand what it was for. And when I was playing this with my brother, he actually thought that they were some sort of money, like you were spending money on each weapon that you were doing, which makes sense. And the other thing was that when he added a weapon, he was like, whoops, I didn't want that one. And he was trying to remove it, and you can't remove a weapon. You can overwrite weapons, which I think is fine, but there's no way to undo them. Also, these stats right here, health, attack, and energy, it wasn't apparent for me when I was doing this the first time. Whenever you put on a gun that requires more energy to shoot, then your health grows and your attack goes up. And this energy icon here is more of the average energy of everything together. So you can see that it says 5 energy, and then it goes down to 4.7 when I added that gun. So that doesn't really tell me anything whatsoever. So I would do away completely with that. That doesn't make any sense to me as a new player. And honestly, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me as an experienced player, as someone who's doing this. So the way that I played this game, I tried it myself first. I just wanted to see what the mechanics were like and everything. And then I decided to bring it over to my brother's house and play with him, his wife, and my wife. I tried to have them go in cold, just as much as possible. So the red blimp is me, green blimp is my brother, yellow one is my wife, and the blue one is my sister-in-law. This is the way that the game works, right? You tap which weapon that you want. After moving, you can then fire it, and then you can move again until whenever. And you don't have any timer or anything like that. You can just end the turn just like that. And just so you guys know what's happening here, so my brother knows video games very well, right? He works on video games. He's a gamer. Both of the girls are also gamers, but they're not as intense of gamers as me and my brother are. When you're moving this dial, you can see that there's a percentage right here and a percentage here. And what that is, that I didn't even know this at the time that I was playing the game, but the percentage is how much thrust there is behind the shot, and the angle is represented here. And I did not put that together at all in my mind. And the way that you control the percentage is the distance that this marker is from the center, but the marker always resets to the center. So it's not like a 1-to-1 kind of thrust. I think it would make a lot more sense if we had some sort of thrust meter or something like that on another side to show like a fixed amount of thrust, and then have the angle with the circle itself. Okay, so then the first thing that he does is he tries to attack me by hitting my blimp, and it doesn't do anything. The only way that you attack others is by hitting their weapons, and you don't really know that until you have tried it many times, right? I tried, when I first tried this game, I tried shooting the blimps over and over and over in different areas, and I wasn't attacking them, I wasn't hurting them. In fact, I thought I was hurting them at first. I thought that was just how you played the game, until I hit a gun, and then it had that flash of red, and I'm like, oh, there we go. That's how I actually hurt people. Okay, so when you end your turn, then we have this little pop-up that comes up, and it says, end your turn, everyone +2 lightning bolt. And then it says intern and a big red not yet. It seems like out of the 4 of us, all of us wanted to hit the not yet. Like, even as we were confirming that we wanted to end the turn, we're like, not yet. I understand why it's there, right? The red button is to draw the person's attention so that if they want to cancel, right, the first thing that they want to do is that they'll look for something to try to close out of the prompt. I think an X would probably work better. I think like a X in the top corner or something like that. It could be red also. It made for some annoying times when you would hit intern and then not yet, and you would just do that over and over until you stopped to actually read what was happening, and you're like, oh, it says not yet. Yeah, okay, yeah, I want to end my turn. This is my wife who's controlling her ship. Okay, so what happened there was that the thrust of the shots wasn't communicated well to her. So as soon as she got the arc going, she figured that the cannon would keep shooting forward and actually hit the other blimp, but it just bounces off there at the end there. It feels kind of weird to have an arc like that, and then to chop it off at an arbitrary time. When I'm thinking about this, I think about Worms, right? In Worms, they don't have any arcs. They just have a reticle, a fixed little reticle that only shows where you're aiming. And as far as the arc of the weapon, it depends on how fast you're shooting it. So I would ask as to why you have an arc in here at all. Maybe because there's different gravity per weapons, because each weapon has different kinds of bullets. But that's another thing, is that I don't know what weapon has what kind of bullets. I don't know that a cannon, like I just found out today actually while I was recording this video, the small little cannon has a very, very big cannonball that comes out, but not just that, but the cannonball does like 33 damage or something like that, a very high number damage, and I didn't know. I had no idea that happened. I feel like the arc is fine the way it is, but I think it can be confusing to people who haven't played the game many times before. That's what I'm going to keep saying throughout this. A lot of these things don't really make a whole lot of sense to people who haven't played the game before, and that's really difficult to onboard people, right? To get people playing for the first time is to walk them through. You have to walk them through everything before they actually know how to play. And I like this part where she's about to try to shoot again, and it says not enough energy. I think that's great. That's really good. So again, with the hitting the blimp instead of the guns happened there. There is one thing that I wanted to talk about, was this little symbol here. So I know what's happening here is that whenever the camera comes off, your blimp is outside of the field of view, that this little icon shows you, hey, your blimp's over there. But it's kind of weird because the first time that you see that, I mean, maybe it's not like this for everybody, but mainly it only showed up for me and all the other players here when we were shooting bullets and the camera would follow the bullets. And it just so happened that our blimp would come out of frame at the same time. So then it would show, hey, your blimp's over there. And it seems like it's trying to tell us something, like your cannonball is over here, but your blimp is over there. Something's happening, but nothing's happening. It's just a part of the design. So I would say maybe take off that icon only when shots are being shot, so there's no conflicting kind of communication happening. Something that I noticed in my gameplay was I would always do this. I would always move and then shoot. In my mind, my turn was done, right? So you can see right here, I'm trying to retreat a little bit as much as I can, and then I end my turn, even though I have 8 or 6 energy left. So I could have shot more times, and I didn't even realize this until I started reviewing the footage and I saw my brother shooting multiple times, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that. This is not from the design of the game. It's just from me playing turn-based stuff. That's how my mind imagines these things, is that I can only attack once. Even in Worms is that way too. And even in the questionnaire that you filled out, the developer of this game, you mentioned that tank game and the old tank games. And in those old tank games, as soon as you shoot, that's the end of your turn. You did say that what makes this game different from other games like them, you can continue to do stuff after you've shot, continue to move, and you can even shoot again if you want to. But I feel like that needs to be communicated maybe a little bit more. And you can see right there that he tried to resize the screen, and I do think that is something that should be there. You should be able to zoom in and out of the screen. So something interesting there that happened was that gravity took over a little bit, and not all of the shots followed in the same trajectory. You can see like the gun was losing thrust, and so you can see that they're not all quite hitting the same arc. You can see that one is a little bit lower than that one. And I found that while I was playing the game that I'd have to continuously over-aim in order to get all of my hits in at once. And that's not necessarily a design issue, but it is something I don't think was communicated. So instead of maybe a line, maybe something like a width, maybe some sort of bar that shows as opposed to a simple little line, just to show where your bullets could end up, basically. I was thinking at some point in this game that the guns would be labeled somehow, but I don't see any labels on them, so I'm not exactly sure if they're called anything. What's nice about labeling guns is that you can understand just from picking one, like a sniper rifle versus a shotgun or something like that. You understand what that means because of the real world implications, because you know the difference between a sniper and a shotgun. I'm pretty sure the guns were labeled though, so I'm not seeing it in the gameplay. I'm not sure where it is. The purple area, I was trying to stay the hell away from the area because I thought it would kill me when I touched it, but I didn't understand that as soon as the purple area comes in, that you get hurt from it, but you don't get hurt immediately. You get hurt on the next turn. And it's not just the next turn, but I think it's the next round of turns, I believe. I wanted to show you the graphical glitch that happens here with the purple here. But but my brother mistaked it for an actual opening, and so he went over there, and as soon as he ended his turn, he got hurt. Want to quickly respond to some of the questions that the dev sent me. How do you think that the game can be expanded? I think there's a ton of ways that this game can be expanded, but I think it really depends on your experience and what you want the player to experience. It seems to me that you have a very specific thing that you want the player to experience here because everything is stripped out. It just seems like there's only one core mechanic here, unless it's just not fully realized, because there is just one level here. I imagine there's going to be more levels and stuff. I could obviously see, you know, different types of blimps, different types of weapons, more levels, things to change up the gameplay, add variety. I imagine all these different types of things. There's a ton of different ideas, right, that you can get from just anyone, but it really does depend on the experience that you want to give the player, because at the end of the day, maybe what I'm making is an action game, and maybe what you're making is a strategy game, so they may not coalesce. So it depends on what you want. So think about the core mechanic, or not the core mechanic, but the core experience that you want from the player, and then branch off of that and see where it takes you. Try experimenting, try giving it to playtesters and see what they think. How is this game compared to other 4-player games out there on the market? I haven't tried many. The only one that I keep coming back to is Worms. I really like Worms. I really like Worms mostly because the nostalgia. I just recently got Worms WMD to study just because I wanted to study it for this game. The way that they go about the things, I would look at Worms and how they approach single player stuff. I really like their missions and their trainings. I think those are really good. So check out Worms WMD. I think they work really well. What it had or what it didn't. This game does not have a lot of features, and I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but it definitely, you know, seems like this is just stripped down to its most basic core mechanic, and I think that's great if that's the experience that you want. Like I said, it seems like that is what you want. But this is an early build. I don't know if it goes more from this. The core mechanic itself is fine, but to me, it doesn't grip me. It doesn't make me think, oh, I definitely want to play Blimp today. Whenever I think of a game, I think of the things that I could do in it. And if I haven't played the game before, then I'll imagine things based on the things that it has on the surface. So for example, in Worms, there's a ton of weapons in that game that I haven't used, right? And so I'm always excited to start up a new game of Worms, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what this weapon will do. I already know everything there is to know about this game, and it's not making me excited, so I would feel like, yeah, I think more features would be great in this game, but that's again for my mindset. I'm not the type of person to play these types of games all the time, so take that for what it is. How do you think about the fairness or balance of the game map? So the way that it's balanced, I think for 4 players, I think is really good. But there is something weird that you can do. If you begin the game and you choose player 1 and 4, for example, you can play 2-player game with players 1 and 4. And then the game balance is really strange because you start on 2 separate sides of the map and you have to slowly make your way towards each other, which is fine. It can, you can make a game out of that, but it definitely makes for a much more boring experience than, starting right next to each other. I think the placements that they are, I think is great. There's some glitches in the map. Some of the collisions don't work quite right. There was a cannonball that bounced on one of the blocks and then slipped through. There was a time that after I shot, my blimp rose up by itself. What is a better way to show the players the area or the borders that they should not go, or else they're going to receive damage? So the way that Worms does this, I think is really good. They do this in a diegetic way, and diegetic means of the world. How Worms does it is that all of their combat takes place on islands, and each of those islands are surrounded by water. So the water level will eventually start to rise, or at least it did back in World Party. I don't know if it does in WMD. The water is ever present and it's a threat, and you understand it's a threat because you're on an island. Now it's different for something like Blimps because you're already in the air, and there's what else could you put in the air to make players understand don't go that way. I like the idea that you have here already with the border, to me it feels like it's going to kill me when it touches me. I like the idea though of making it diegetic. I like the idea of maybe storm clouds or maybe some sort of smog or rain or just clouds themselves or fog or something like that. I don't know, experiment with it, see what happens. Are there any suggestions on how to make the game feel better or add more game juice? There's a ton of stuff that I could come up with, I'm sure. I'm gonna play a little clip here. This is from Retro Ninja Cyber Assassin, this video that I made for that game. There's a clip here that I did that explains juice basically, and I remade a certain type of experience, a sword slashing through a character, but I upped the amount of juice each time to make it more and more and more. And this is what it looks like. Animation or screen shake, something to let me know that I have done something to the character in front of me. So there's a lot of things that you could do, a ton of stuff. The way that you're doing things right now, I think, is on the right track. You could just up it more. But again, it does depend on the type of experience that you want. What do you think about the in-game ad placements and frequencies? Is it too much or makes the players disengage? The ads only happen after your gameplay, and the game takes a long time to play, especially if you're doing 4 players. It takes maybe, 20 to 30 minutes to do a game, and then there's one ad. That's great, that's fine. Would I do more? No. I don't know how to do ads in games. I don't know how to design for them. I understand the financial need to have ads in your games. I have no idea how to make them feel better. The way you have them now, I think, is fine. Thank you so much for submitting this game. I'm sorry it took me so long to make this video. It took a long time because I was like, I had no idea what to do for this. I had no idea what to talk about. If you're not this developer, there is a link in the description to submit your game, or you can go to gamesover.coffee. There's a links section for Discord and other social media stuff, or there's a submit your game button on the homepage. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I'm sorry I don't have my coffee with me. I have a Baja Blast. I'll see you later.